Hi, it's Taryn. Welcome back to The Blind Homemaker, and today we are making pizza from scratch. But first, if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please just hit that subscribe button. It's completely free to you and it helps other people be able to find my videos. So, with that out of the way, I'm going to be making homemade pizza with freshly ground flour for the pizza crust. I'm not going to share an exact recipe because I've actually never done this before, so I'm experimenting. The thing is, I usually find something that's edible in the end, even if it's not perfect. So on my counter, I have my KitchenAid mixer, and it already has warm water, a little bit of sugar, and some active dry yeast. And this is my new favorite baby. I have a grain mill that I got for Christmas, and I know as I'm filming it's before Christmas, but I'm a very good girl and I deserved my present early. So it is a Como Classic grain mill, and I got some grains too I'm very excited about. And the grains go in the top of the mill in a hopper, and it's got two stones that rub together to grind the grain, and it comes out a spot at the bottom. So I also have a bowl underneath. So we're gonna get to grinding some grain, but it's very loud, so we're just going to fast forward this part a little bit. Okay, it's a little bit messy, but I have a whole bowl of home ground flour. It feels so nice. It's very, very fluffy. And any flour that I have left over, I am going to put it in a mason jar in my freezer because the flour doesn't have a very long shelf life and it loses its nutrition pretty quickly. So I want to preserve as much of that I can. So I'm going to feed my sourdough starter with it. So I'm gonna go back over to my KitchenAid where my active dry yeast has been getting comfortable, and I'm going to add some olive oil. I get this one from Costco, and it is infused with basil. Again, I'm not gonna give measurements or anything just because this is the first time I've done this, and I honestly don't know how it's going to turn out, so I don't want to steer you wrong. And I'm also going to add some salt. Same thing. I add a good bit of salt because I find most baked goods don't have enough salt in them for my personal taste. So I've got those ingredients in the bowl. The next thing that I'm going to do is add about 3 cups of my flour, and I'm going to start getting that combined. And once it starts getting combined, I will add a little bit of flour at a time until I get to a consistency that I'm comfortable with. This is going to take some time, and I'll let y'all know how much flour I used, and I'll show you the bowl in the end. But while I'm doing that, future Taryn is going to tell you why I feel strongly about milling my own wheat and what the benefits are.
I wanted to take a quick minute and tell y'all about the reasons why I grind my grain. Now, I can do an entire video just about the nutrition of grains and why I choose to grind my own, but I thought I'd give you just a quick cliff notes for right now. So I didn't really know a lot about grains, but when I started doing some research about nutrition, I was learning that the flour that we get in the store is only one part of the grain. And even if you get whole grain flours, only a tiny bit of the other parts of the grain are added back in. And I'm a religious person, and I feel like God gave us the whole grain for a reason, and that's the way we should consume it. And there are so many people that have gluten intolerances now, and it just makes me wonder, why is something that God gave us, why is everyone struggling so much to digest it? And I wanted to learn more about that. So wheat has 3 parts. It has a germ, a bran, and an endosperm. And when they are stored whole, intact, without being milled, they are good for a very, very long time. I'm talking about a decade, a very long time. However, as soon as you mill them, they can start to break down and go rancid. And it made me wonder then why the flour in the store, why is it good for so long? Well, that is because the endosperm is the only part that is in that flour. The germ and the bran is removed, and that's why it can last so long. But what started happening is people were getting really sick due to the lack of the vitamins and minerals that are in the other parts of the grain. So what we chose to do was add back artificial vitamins. So that's the enriching process that you see in the flours that you get in a store, and pretty much all baked products that you can find. You're going to have a really hard time finding someone who mills their own grain to make their bread products. And I have something called MTHFR. Up to 60% of the population have it, and it is a mutation that makes it difficult for us to metabolize folic acid, and that is what is enriched in the flour, and we do better with naturally found folate. So this is just kind of why I started grinding my own grain. If you want to know more about it, I would be just more than happy to make a whole video about it. But back to cooking.
The freshly ground flour, it takes a little bit to absorb water, so I just set a timer for 10 minutes and let this dough sit. But also, even with the stand mixer, you still have to get your hands in there, so I just had to take off my rings and my cardigan and put on an apron. It started to become a messy job. So I'm just gonna touch the dough, and yeah, it's still pretty tacky. So I'm going to add the rest of this flour that we ground and let that go a little bit longer. And try not to spill the flour on the counter. Not always an easy task. The dough got to a consistency that I was happy with, so I let it knead for 10 minutes. And now I'm going to pull it out and put it into an oiled grease bowl. I just used that same olive oil that I used earlier, and I'm putting some on my hands just because this dough is pretty sticky, and that's normal. Your dough is going to be a bit more tacky with freshly ground flour, so I want that oil on my hands to make it a little bit easier to get the dough out of the bowl. So I'm just pulling it out, popping it into the same bowl that I ground the flour into. I use all of that flour, and I just put some oil in it, and I'm gonna get out as much dough as I can. And then when it's in this bowl, I'm just gonna give it a flip to make sure there's oil all around it. And this is gonna go into my oven on my bread proof feature with a towel over it for about an hour and a half. And then we will roll it out and make pizza. We just got the dough out of the oven. It was on bread proof. It was probably half the bowl, and it's about to go over the top of the bowl. So I'm gonna flip this out onto a cookie sheet that I just greased with the olive oil. And it is so awesome how I just flipped it. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy about it. I'm just gonna spread it out on this cookie sheet. Funny fact, I've called these a cookie sheet my entire life. Do you know it's actually supposed to be called a cooking sheet? Which is so crazy to me. So this one's rectangular, and I'm just going to spread the dough out to all four corners, try to make sure that it's at least even through like the same thickness. So I have one side that's a little bit thicker than the other. So I'm just trying to even that out. I'm very happy with how the dough feels right now. It rose really well, so I think it's going to be delicious. That's my kitty cat. One of my children is outside, and the cat feels like she should be an outside cat, and she's jealous. She has FOMO. And I'm just doing kind of like a 4 cheese moment. So we have mozzarella, Parmesan, and Colby Jack cheese. And I have the Great Value brand pizza sauce, but I love it because it's pretty good, and it's not made with any sugar, and it's a smaller size. Like sometimes you'll get the big, huge things of pizza sauce and then not use them all, and then what are you supposed to do? Okay, so I've got the crust spread out pretty well. So now I'm going to try to open. Oh no, I need my beautiful assistant. Can you help me? My hands are greasy, I can't open the can. Okay. I have to have my beautiful assistant.
Oh my God, you oiled up. Oh my God.
Whoops. But look at my dough. She looks so beautiful. It's just such a pretty color. And yeah, it just came out so well. I'm super happy with it. Oh my gosh. My beautiful assistant's having to use a spoon to break the seal.
Oh my God.
Whoops. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm just gonna grab a spoon.
Here, I already have one.
Oh, dang it. Okay. Alexa, stop. Sorry if I set off your Alexas. I'm just gonna pour some of the pizza sauce on the dough and then use the back of my spoon to spread it all out. This takes a long time and it is going to get messy. He gave me like the world's smallest spoon. Like, it's like a tiny, tiny little like teaspoon. I'll keep them. So I'm using one hand to just kind of keep track of where I am on the dough. And then the other hand I'm using with the spoon to spread the sauce out. So I can try to make sure I don't miss. My hands are clean, I always wash them. Over here, on the corner needs more sauce. I think in general it needs more sauce. I like a saucy pizza. You know what? Just use the whole thing. Just some little circular back and forth motions, and it all spread out everywhere. Seems good to me. I'm gonna go wash my hands real quick. We're back. Now it's time for the cheese. I'm just gonna measure with my heart, and I'm grabbing the cheese, like a handful of it in my right hand, and I'm using my left hand to just track where I am on the pizza, so that I make sure to fill every spot with cheese. Funny story is, the first time I made a homemade pizza, I left a whole corner with no cheese on it because I wasn't tracking where I was putting the cheese well enough. It was not as delicious as it could have been because of that.
I remember that pizza.
So when my husband and I first got married, I barely knew how to cook anything at all. And it was difficult having a child and a husband, and I wanted to cook and all of those things, but I didn't really know how. And pretty much everything I've learned how to cook has been through my own research, like online research, watching YouTube videos. And that's really why I wanted to make this channel, is because I learned so much from YouTube. However, there are so many videos that are not descriptive enough. So I could have learned a whole lot more had the videos been more BVI friendly. So that's why I feel drawn to make these videos in a really descriptive manner so that everyone can learn. And so maybe it won't take you as long to become a seasoned homemaker as it took me. But you know, I got there in the end, and I'm not perfect, and I'm still learning every single day. And that's just kind of how life is. Okay, so the pizza is covered in cheese. I went ahead and preheated the oven to 450. So I'm going to pop this pizza in there, and I'm gonna let God decide how long it takes to cook, but I'm assuming maybe 15 or 20 minutes. Pizza just came out of the oven. It's all done. I added salt, garlic, Italian seasoning, and red pepper flakes to the top of it. And we are about to eat and watch Fire Country. Very good show. But thank you so much for spending time with me today. Please like the video, leave a comment, and until next time, happy homemaking.